People ask me all the time about my lifestyle as a pescatarian, and one of the first things that I tell them is that I am not a healthcare provider or a physician or a nutritionist. I'm only providing information based on my lifestyle and my experience as a pescatarian. So I became a pescatarian about 14 years ago. And it was a result of a meeting that I had with my nutritionist. So for a while I wasn't feeling really well. I usually feel really great, and then for about a period of 6 to 8 months I started to feel a little bit slow and a little bit sluggish. And I increased my exercise, I increased my fruits and vegetables, but nothing was really working. So I saw a nutritionist, and if I remember correctly, we started off with me having to do some journaling about my diet, what I was eating every day, how much exercise I was taking, how much water, how much caffeine, that sort of thing. And then that led to sort of a stripping of my usual routine. So we started eliminating things from my diet, and we eliminated so much that I was basically reduced to eating broth and certain fruits, certain vegetables, herbal tea, that sort of thing. Once that period was over, we started reintroducing things to my diet, and after a really long period of time we discovered that the pescatarian lifestyle was really what made me feel the most balanced and made me feel the best. So after I left my doctor's office, I was kind of like, okay, now what? I can eat seafood and vegetables and that sort of thing, but how do I really incorporate this into my life, and what does it all mean? So I really spent the first 8 to 12 months figuring out what my life as a pescatarian was. And at the time I didn't even have the word pescatarian. I was just, I ate fish. When someone asked me what my specific lifestyle was, I would say, oh, vegetables, and I would eat fish. So what I do now is call myself a pescatarian, and I describe that as a vegetarian who supplements their diet with seafood. It's one of the easiest explanations for the lifestyle and really my diet. My biggest adventure with this pescatarian lifestyle was discovering new species of fish and new recipes for the species that I was already familiar with. So shrimp and catfish and perch and things like that, I grew up with that stuff, so I knew how to prepare it. But after that, then what? Because it can get pretty boring if you're only sticking with the same 3 or 4 kinds of fish. So that really led to a journey into discovering recipes from other cultures. How do the Portuguese prepare fish? How do the Brazilians? What do they do in Mexico, China? So that just led to this whole new world of recipes and experimentation and learning how to put really great meals together, some involving seafood and some not involving seafood. And that was really the most fun. So people ask me all the time, was it really hard transitioning over to being a pescatarian? And the answer is no. I mean, it had its challenges, and sometimes it was an adventure, but I was motivated, I was excited about it, and I knew that ultimately it would make me feel better. So hard is not the word that I would use. I would use the word challenging, and I would use the word adventure to describe my journey into being a pescatarian. I settled into being a pescatarian really comfortably, probably year 3. At that point I kind of knew my favorite recipes. I knew my patterns for what I was going to eat during what time of day. I knew my favorite seafood. I knew my favorite stores. In probably about 3 years it took me to go, okay, this is it. I love it, and let's go. So I don't eat seafood every day, and that has to do with the definition that I provided you with earlier. My definition of a pescatarian is a vegetarian who supplements their diet with seafood. So I probably eat seafood 3 or 4 days a week, but definitely not at every meal and definitely not every day. So I have multivitamins, but I don't take them every day. One of my goals is to get my nutrition through my diet, and I do that for the most part. On weeks or days where I feel like I may have slipped up a bit, I will pop a multivitamin, but my diet is varied. It's filled with legumes and fresh vegetables of every color, fruit. I do whole juices. I do all those kinds of things. So I don't really take a multivitamin every day. I try and get my nutrition from my diet. So I work with a couple different trainers, and during that time frame we do a lot of circuit training, boot camp, we work out with the TRX. I love to walk, I love to do yoga, and I'm kind of old school and I love my rollerblades. So, I love exercising, I love getting out in the great outdoors. I'm even out here in the hot blazing sun for this video. It just shows you how much I love to be outdoors. So I stay fit by doing those things. So I do have a few favorite seafood markets, but the names of those markets really aren't as important as the reasons why they're my favorite. And my favorite fish markets have a few things in common. Number one, they're always really clean. And they don't smell like bleach or ammonia, they just smell really clean. The other thing is they have really beautiful fish. It looks good, it looks appetizing, it's just really, really gorgeous. The other thing is they have really knowledgeable fishmongers. The person behind the counter always knows where the fish came from, can recommend some recipes, and can actually tell me how long the fish that's in the case has been there. Sometimes you'll find that the fish or the shrimp, whatever it is that you're buying, has been in that case 3 or 4 days. And you cannot take that home and keep it in your fridge for another 3 or 4 days and have the best results. Some things to look out for, reasons why you should run from a fish counter are if there are some shrimp that are wild mixed with shrimp that are farmed. Most of the time you'll find that there's a color differentiation. So if you see that they're all kind of mixed up, that's kind of a problem. If you see that the fish is a little bit gray, some fish will naturally be gray because it's been scaled, but if you see any gray, yucky, flaky fish, run as fast as you can. Your chances are better going to the frozen counter and getting some frozen fish versus buying what they currently have that's fresh. So those are my top 3 or 4 things that you need to look for in a fish market. Clean, beautiful fish, knowledgeable fish counter, and just really great prices is my other 4th one. Just make sure that wherever you're shopping, they have sales on occasion so you can stock up and that you're having a generally pleasant experience. Okay, so I did not have to put a second mortgage on my home or sell my car in order to be a pescatarian. A lot of people think that this lifestyle is really expensive, and it's not. It's like any other lifestyle. You work with the budget that you have. I encourage people to shop for seafood in as many places as they possibly can. And what I mean by that is check the frozen section, check the canned section, and check the fresh seafood section. You're always going to find things on sale, and you're always going to find things that will work for your budget. The other thing to take into consideration is portion control. Seafood does not have to be the center of attention. It doesn't have to be the star of every meal. It can be the co-star, it can just be an embellishment. Just make sure that you're using it appropriately. No one needs, 14 ounces of fish at one setting, okay? You just need your basic 2 to 3 ounces of a protein and you're gonna be totally fine. So work with your budget. Buy things that are on sale, make sure you're searching the frozen, the canned, and the fresh section, and make sure you're monitoring your portions so that you can make sure that you're spreading that as thinly as possible if budget is of concern. So there's no reason to be bored with your seafood, okay? There are a number of sources out there that you can look into that will help you find new ways to create some of your favorite species. So if you love shrimp, but you're tired of the way you've been preparing it for the last, 10 years, look at my cookbook, look at my blog, or go to the library and look at ethnic food and find out how the Portuguese prepare shrimp. How do the Chinese prepare shrimp? How about the French? Just start exploring new ways of preparing old traditional kinds of meals. I'm also a big lover of herbs and spices. I've got a spice cabinet that will blow your mind, and I love just adding different things in and just twisting things up a little bit. Pomegranate powder is my newest kind of thing, and I love using that sort of tart flavor to spice up other things that originally would be a little bit flat. So don't be afraid to go and explore outside of your regular grocery store. If you've got a local Indian market or an Asian market, check out those places and find out what's new. So in my 14 years of being a pescatarian, I have never had any nutritional deficiencies or health-related issues related to my lifestyle as a pescatarian. So if you're struggling with finding the balance with being a pescatarian, you're not quite sure if you're getting enough protein, you're not sure where your nutritional levels are, please go and see your doctor or a nutritionist and find out where you are. The things that I do to make sure that I'm staying balanced is that I keep a food diary and I know exactly what I'm having during the day. So if I'm not having seafood that day, what I do is I have a salad and I make sure I chock that full of nuts and whole grains and seeds, that sort of thing. So I'll have a green salad and I'll put black beans and chickpeas, a few sunflower seeds in there, avocado, things that are just really delicious and are really going to give me the proteins and nutrients that I need. Right before a workout, I'll have a banana or I'll have a handful of, raw almonds and raisins, that sort of thing. So I'm always aware of where I am with my nutrition. So I encourage you to do the same. I also encourage you to find your motivation for wanting to be a pescatarian. What's the reason? It doesn't guarantee fitness, it doesn't guarantee health, okay? There are a lot of unfit pescatarians walking around in the world. So find your motivation, talk to your healthcare provider, and find out where this fits in your world. See you later. Bye.